guys, Kimberly here, and today we're having another life talk, which are basically just honest conversations with teenagers, young adults who have gone through certain challenges in life and how they've kind of overcome them. And today I'm sitting here with my son, Alex Scales, who is wrapping up his senior year at Berry College. So I thought it was very appropriate. Oh, and by the way, we have one trying to get in here. So you'll see him. His name is Traeger. For all you Parks and Recs fan, that would be after Chris Traeger. So anyway, so right now, all you college seniors and high school seniors are really going through one of those challenges right now. So I thought Alex and I would sit down and just chat for just a second about that. So Alex, tell them a little bit about yourself, what you've been kind of doing up at school, where you go to school, and kind of what's next for you.
So I go to Berry College. I've been studying animal science there. So I have an animal science major, chemistry minor. I've been playing music up there as well. I work for the vet on campus. So I've been doing that for the past 2 years. I recently got accepted into the University of Georgia's veterinary school, so I'll be in Athens doing that in the fall. Pretty much it.
Okay, you left out what you did for most of your time at Berry, also your other job, in addition to the...
Oh, yeah. I also work at the sheep barn there as well, so I take care of Berry College's flock and all that jazz is on the side.
Okay, so one of the things I always ask Alex, or did, a couple summers ago, was like, what were some of the lessons? We hear so much about, this is kind of a side note, about, how God's our shepherd and stuff like that. So I always kind of ask him, like, what's one of your main takeaways that you've kind of learned working with the sheep as far as our relationship with God and kind of him being our shepherd?
You don't realize how patient God is until you start working with sheep. Because I lose my patience very quickly because, I don't know if you heard, but sheep are stupid, but they're stupider than you think they are. And it's not a compliment that God's comparing us to sheep, but it's more so, I think, to show how patient he is with us and how many second, third, 100th chances he gives us and yet still takes care of us, because it brings a new perspective when you're kind of in his shoes and you're like, oh wait, he's comparing us to sheep and he thinks we act like this. Oh man, he must really, really, really care about us, because I couldn't do this for very long.
That's very cool. Okay, so thinking about kind of God and him being patient with us and putting that into the situation now. So you were one of millions, I would say, college students who the last part of your semester got kind of cut short. Where he goes to school at Berry is my alma mater, so we have a lot of deep roots there, not just from the school, but also through some summer camp experiences over the summer. So what did that feel like? Kind of how did you deal with that? Or really what's been the hardest of what you've had to deal with, having that last part of your senior year being cut off?
I think the hardest thing is there's a lot of people that I didn't get to, say goodbye to, that I'm, still talking to, but, professors that I wanted to, book in, things I wanted to wrap up that I didn't necessarily get to wrap up in a way that I wanted to. Not that things were just, cut off and I can't communicate to people anymore, but, I don't know. I'm one for, putting bookends on things and doing it in person more so with different people. And I just never got, that opportunity to just kind of finish strong, honestly, and kind of have those last defining moments that I was planning on having.
I'm always, maybe you kind of get that from me a little bit, but I'm kind of big on closure. I like having closure. For those of you who don't also know, Berry is actually a closed campus, meaning that students do not live off campus because it's often said one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. So that, where unlike some students are able to stay in their houses or apartments near the campus and see your friends, Berry's uniquely different in the fact that you had to get off campus. And so that has been kind of also hard, that you hadn't been able to see those people. So I get that having closure to those defining moments is surely important. Okay, kind of going, I had 3 questions here. The second one is, so you've been gone for 4 years. Both of my kids, Alex has a younger sister. They've never been here during the summer because they've always worked. So the longest we've ever had each other, all been together under the same roof, at the most has been 2 weeks, over Christmas break maybe. So you've had to come home. You've had to deal with me, your dad, share a bathroom with your sister again. Um, what would you say has been the hardest part about that?
Probably our house is small, so trying to find individual space, because I very much enjoyed having like my own complete space at Barry and being able to just go and do what I wanted to, having that freedom and not really having to worry about somebody else, which sounds like super selfish, but like me, I could just kind of go to my room if I wanted to, but if I wanted to leave and go practice and do something else, I didn't have to ask anybody or like make sure that I wasn't going to bother anybody. I could just leave my room and then go over to the music building and play over there. Or I could just leave my room and just kind of go and it really wouldn't matter. So I guess kind of having to readjust to being aware of like, okay, there are three other people in this tiny little house with me, so I gotta figure out where's everybody's space. I'm not intruding on everybody else's space. I'm trying to find my own space as well. That's probably been hard.
Yeah, like for example, we had to kick his sister out because she was studying right over there, and we realized the lighting wasn't good somewhere else, so we had to come down here. And so for us as parents, that's challenging too. And I think Alex's father and I have done a good job in trying to like let y'all have your own rhythm, not make you feel like you had to be up at a certain time, like with that. But it has been challenging. Even a couple of weeks ago, when Alex was getting ready to leave and go away to a friend's place for a couple of weeks, you know, he was like, "Hey, don't take this personal, but like, I don't like being here." And I knew his heart behind that. As a mother's heart, you're like, "What? You don't want to be with me?" But no, he's not supposed to want to be with me all the time, or in his home, because he's a young man and he's needing that freedom. He's had that freedom. So I really do appreciate his patience with us as parents, and hopefully we've been able to figure that out. I think we've done a pretty good job so far. We had a little major issue in the beginning when I was kind of in fearful mode of all that was going on in the world, because I'm a control person and I kind of wanted to control my flock, I guess, and I wasn't. So we had a few moments of getting mad at each other, but we worked through those and we're all good. So for all you students and adults and parents, yeah, it's challenging. But again, back to what Alex said, I think this is a major moment of practicing that patience that God wants us to have and having a whole lot of grace. But I do, as a parent, really encourage parents to really make sure, even if your child has been away for 1 year or 4 years, I think it's equally important to let your child have that freedom, and be very sensitive to how they've been growing and doing life off at school. Okay, so the last thing I want to end with is you had big plans for the summer. They've been your plans for the last 16 summers, really. And then even looking at the fall, going off to vet school, there's a lot of seniors who had jobs, maybe who are still looking for jobs. How are you dealing with just like not really knowing what's going to happen? We know that the future will go on and there's so much hope and things are going to happen, but we just kind of don't know the timeline right now. How are you dealing with that?
Uh, so for starting with the summer, um, that I'm kind of just waiting for. I have. I'm a person who thinks ahead and thinks of a thousand different solutions to a thousand different scenarios, and so I'm like of all the different things that could possibly happen with this summer and that I can like foresee. I'm thinking of like, okay, what can I do in this? What can I do in this? That just helps me have an idea of where I could go. And so going forward this summer, I'm just like kind of waiting on a few answers from different people before I move forward with anything. So it's kind of just like awaiting. And as for going to vet school in the fall, it's the same sort of thing. Is I don't I'm one to try not to react until I know what's happening. And as of right now, I don't know. As of right now, if it gets as of right now, nothing's changed, and I'm going to vet school in the fall, and we're going to start on the August the 6th and have an orientation and do all that stuff as normal. And until that is changed, then I'm going to move forward accordingly. But I don't know. If something, I'm trying not to think so much ahead and focus so much on the future and like what negatively could happen, and rather just take what I'm given right now and use that one day at a time to move forward, because that's the easiest and less stressful way to handle it.
Yeah. And I know that I know we've talked about this in the past, and this isn't divulging too much about your life, but you're kind of like me, like having that plan and that control is something that our kind of temperaments enjoy. But in these situations, we have a plan, but we can't necessarily control it. So I know that's been a lesson that you've learned is like, okay, my plan, it's good to have a plan, but God's plan kind of trumps that. I mean,
yeah, it's good to have a plan, because a plan, like, if you're not like, I learned this a long time ago when I was doing my Eagle Scout project. Is my mentor, when I was doing that, he told me, he's just like, you're going to make this plan, and you're going to detail everything and try and think of every possible thing that can go wrong, but then you're going to get on the site and you're going to throw the plan away, because everything that you didn't think of is what's going to happen. And so it's good to plan, and it's good to think ahead, because that makes sure you're prepared, but to not be so tied to the plan that it hinders you from being flexible when everything that you didn't think of actually happens. So
yeah, because who would have thought we would have been here having
nobody.
a conversation about what's going on in the world? So, absolutely. So, anyway, I just wanted to give y'all a little perspective from a college senior about his side of things. If you're out there and you're struggling with that, finding out information, always reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that. Any last little something that you'd like to share, or
It's going to be all right. Just because we didn't get to walk doesn't mean that we're not getting a diploma. I know it's like kind of hard, but in the grand scheme of things, everything is going to be all right at the end of the day. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Just take it a day at a time.
I have this kind of thing that I don't want things to define me. This is kind of cheesy. I thought about this a couple days ago, but I definitely want to be refined through the process. So with all this stuff, we don't want it to define us. We don't want it to shape us so much that we don't go on healthy, or we just stay stagnant and we're scared or whatever. We want it to refine us. That's what God says. He wants to refine us, make us, mold us more like in His image and have His mind and stuff like that. So just to kind of end on that note, one of the things I love to say is that every day we have a choice of how we're going to do things. So I just challenge you today to make the choice to let this just really refine you, and figure out that plan. And then just always be prepared to hold that plan with some open hands, because you never know what's going to happen. So thank you, Alex, for sharing your time. Like, he's here. He just didn't really... His class schedule is more of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so I grabbed him on a Thursday. So anyway, thanks, guys, for listening. I hope you have a blessed day.